So just coming to stand. Let me move that up slightly so you can see me. Nice. So coming to stand and just roll the shoulders together and down the back. Standing at the top of your mat, I'm just in the middle so that I can see you. And just find Tadasana and just rock yourself forwards and backwards on the feet a couple of times. Maybe hearing the feet kind of crack or pop. Nice. And then come back to center and really try to press the whole foot into the mat. Sorry, Hudson, go. Out of here. Nice. Okay. From here, we're going to take a big inhale. We're going to bring our arms out to the side. As the arms come out to the side, turn the palms to face up. And you're going to bring the hands up to the sky. Now, if the shoulders are too tight, don't feel like you have to bring them together. Good. So this is a Namaskara mudra, so an upward mudra. And as you exhale, we're going to come down to Anjali mudra. Okay. So heart position, prayer position. We're just going to do a few of these. Inhale, hands come high. Hands can come just about shoulder distance or so apart, or if you feel comfortable, bring them all the way together. And as you exhale, all the way back to center. Good. Just take about 5 more of these. Really, as you reach those arms up, think about lengthening through the whole waist, lift through that sternum. And as you exhale, come all the way back through center. Inhale high. And exhale. Good. Do 3 more. Use your own breath. Nice. This time on that last one, as you exhale, you're going to hinge from those hips. You're going to fold all the way down. Fingers are going to slide up the shins. You're going to inhale, find a flat back. Instead of looking forwards to the screen, I want you to look down to your mat and grow from your tailbone to the crown of the head. As you exhale, fold down. As you inhale, arms are going to come wide all the way back up to the sky. Good. Exhale through Anjali mudra, heart mudra, back down. Nice. So we're going to move through 5 of these. I'm going to lead you through the first 2, and then you're going to do the next 3 on your own. Inhale, hands come high. Exhale, hinge from those hips, fold down. Inhale, feel the fingers slide up the shins, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, fold back down. Drive through those heels, draw the navel in towards the spine. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale, hands through heart center. Find that Tadasana, straight into another round. Inhale, hands come high. Exhale, hinge at the hips, really grow from tailbone to the crown of the head, folding down. Inhale, draw the navel into the spine, lengthen from the crown of the head. Exhale, fold. Drive through the heels, navel into the spine, lifting high. Exhale down. Good. So you're going to do the next 3 on your own breath. I'll keep doing it in case you get lost. Instead of lifting back up, I want you to fold down on that last one. Nice deep bend in those knees. We're going to come into our first hold. So we're going to take a ragdoll. So you're going to grab hold of opposite elbows. Let the elbows hang low. Let the head hang low. So don't need to look at me. Let as much of your body kind of drip down to the mat. Let the head go, let the arms dangle. If it's too much to hold on to the elbows, just let the hands kind of slump onto the floor. If you want to work on straightening the legs a little bit, think less about straightening the leg and more about engaging the front of the quad. And this might just bring those legs a little bit straighter, but you're using the muscles to move the bones rather than the bones kind of shoving you around. So we're going to do a 2-minute hold here. We're already 40 seconds in. What I want you to imagine here is that you're stretching the spine from the tailbone to the crown of the head. So as gravity grabs a hold of that head, you're just getting a really nice stretch. So just dangling here, and also let those arm bones hang from all of that connective tissue around the shoulder joints. You're getting that really lovely stretch there as well. Good, we're 1 minute in. See if you can deepen the breath. Inhaling, almost feeling like you're lifting out of the stretch a little bit. And as you exhale, see if you can get a little bit heavier. So in tonight's class, I'm going to attempt to be quiet in a lot of the poses, which is going to be probably a challenge for both of us. For myself, because I love to chat, but for you, because when I chat, I distract you. And so instead of distracting you the whole time, I'm going to kind of leave you in the pose to just breathe through it. Good. Okay. From here, if you're still holding the elbows, let go of them. Really press the heels down, draw the navel up into the spine, and slowly start to rise. Now, if you feel dizzy at all, you can walk the hands up the body. This grounding just really helps to find yourself. Good. Coming up to stand. Lengthen through the crown of the head. We're going to inhale, hands come high. Grab a hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, just start to pull yourself over. If that's too intense, then you can release the arms. Okay, it just depends on what your shoulder mobility is like. Press that hip out to the side. Reach up and over. Okay, try not to just crunch the body to the side. Think about the side of the waist lengthening up and over. Good. Come back to center. Grab the opposite wrist. Inhale first, lift, and then exhale, slowly start to come over. Again, you can release those arms. Try not to crunch the side waist. Lifting up, then over. It's like you're still working on that axial extension. Axial extension is that lengthening of the spine. Nice. Come back to center. Let the arms go. And we're going to make our way all the way onto the belly. So I'm just going to move my camera now. So the rest of the poses are going to be on the mat. Now we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So I do want us to use that prop. So either it's pillows, a bolster, or a rolled up blanket. So what you're going to do is you're going to come onto the belly, and you may not feel comfortable with the prop lifting you. What you want to do here is maybe the arms come onto the floor, maybe they don't. Maybe you just have the hands on the mat. But you want to see if you can tuck that prop kind of under the rib cage. So it's going to hold you up slightly. I feel okay with my hands straight because I'm not really pushing. The bolster's holding me. Good. So this is going to be a 5-minute hold, which for some of you is going to feel really long. Some of you, it might feel really comfortable. Okay. And as we go, you might feel like I can come a little bit higher. If you don't have that prop lifting you, if those hands are tired, bring the elbows down. But when you're using the prop, bringing the elbows onto the floor is kind of counterintuitive because you're then sort of rounding the chest. So you do want to stay nice and high. Now, once you're here, you can let the head drop, or you can keep the chin slightly lifted. Try to roll the shoulders down the back slightly. And if you're engaging the bum, soften it. Okay, give it a little wiggle. Let it be soft. Let the tops of the feet be soft. You can also take the hands wider than the mat. That's another way to give yourself some space. So we're a minute in already. We're now just going to focus on our breath. If at any point this becomes too much, just simply move the prop out of the way, come to lie on the belly. So take a nice big inhale through the nose. And then just nice and slow exhale out of the nose or out of the mouth if that feels better. So traditionally in gravity yoga, we do an in-breath for the count of 4 through the nose. And then we do an out-breath out of the mouth for the count of 7. Can you, in this extension, in this back bend, still be thinking about that axial extension? Can you still be sort of growing the tailbone down towards the ankles and then growing the crown of the head up to the sky? 2 minutes in now. You want the curve in the spine to be completely even all the way. And by that, I mean there's no part of the spine that's pinching or hinging, or that you can feel more than anywhere else. So if you feel like in the lower back specifically, there's a real kind of hinge point, you might need to get rid of the prop. This might be too high for you. If you haven't done a lot of back bending or extension of the spine, don't worry if you need to have those elbows on the mat. 3 minutes in now, 2 minutes left. Try to soften the shoulders away from the ears. We have a real habit of crunching them up. See if you can melt the bones of the shoulders away from the ears, giving that neck more space. Four minutes now. Maybe walking the hands a little bit closer in and seeing if you come a little bit higher. Again, if you feel that hinge, just lower back down. So to transition out of this, I want you to push into your hands, bend your knees, move slowly, find a little tabletop, and then move the prop out of the way. Once you found that tabletop and the props out of the way, just take a couple of slow cat-cows, okay? When you've been hanging out an extension for a while, the spine can feel a little bit funny, and you will find that moving in and out of the poses is going to feel the weirdest. Within 30 seconds, it should feel back to normal. Nice. Okay, so we're going to come back into regular Sphinx. We're not going to stay here very long. What I want you to do is take your left hand and turn it in, and then you're going to go onto the side of the body. Okay, now from here, you might want to bend your knee. If this is fine, stay here. Okay, you're just stretching the side of the body. If you want to, you're going to take that top leg, placing that foot on the floor, and then you're going to maybe come on to the hand of the left arm. Okay, so onto that hand. This is going to deepen the stretch. Okay, and then you can just rest your right arm. So just staying here really for about 30 seconds. Think about your hip and your ribs kind of pulling away from each other. And then if you raised onto that elbow, just slowly lower back down. We're going to come back into that Sphinx. This is just a transition pose. Right arm is going to turn in onto the side of the body. Option 1, stay here. You can bend the knees, or top leg bends and goes in front. If you want to, you can take this higher, lifting up onto that right hand. Left arm can just hang out. If you want to, you can kind of twist away. But almost imagining that the rib cage is kind of melting back towards the floor, and that'll deepen the stretch. Almost like you're getting really lazy with those right ribs and they're trying to melt back into the mat. Nice. Okay. If you came onto that hand, lower back down, come back into Sphinx. And then from here, I'm just getting my timer ready because nobody wants to hang out here for very long. You're going to push yourself into tabletop, toes tucked, and then you're going to bring yourself up into downward dog. Now, take your feet wider than your mat, or maybe just to the outside edges of the mat, and you can walk the feet slightly in. So we're in a bit of a lazy, wide-legged downward dog, and we're staying here for 5 minutes. Now, some of you I know are newer to yoga. Those wrists aren't going to be able to last. So think about the foundation of the pose. Spread the fingers wide, actively press through every single part of that hand. Let your head go. I'm not even doing the pose, so there's no point in looking at the screen. Just let your head go. Good. Knees can be bent. Okay, you do not need to be killing your hamstrings right now. This is about extending the spine, finding space. So can you send your tailbone higher to the sky? And if you're like, I don't know how to do that, think about the lowest part of your butt cheek that never sees the sun. Try to tilt that up towards the ceiling, up towards the sun, well, the moon right now. Okay, like you're trying to get a tan on the lowest part of your butt cheek. Now, the sensation of this pose will radiate to different parts of the body. So I just want you to breathe and focus. You're over a minute in already. I'm going to keep calling it at the minute mark. See if you can hold to the minute mark. So if you're like dying already, okay, you've got 30 seconds. Can you stay to the 2-minute mark? And if you stay to 2 minutes, can you stay to 3? And if you stay to 3, can you stay to 4? And if you stayed to 4, you may as well smash it out till 5. Breathe. Okay, breathing out of the mouth might really help here. Happy to know that it is 2-minute mark now. Okay, can you stay? If those wrists are bugging you, take a minute. Okay, use the next minute to do some wrist exercises that you know about. And then maybe pop up for another minute. A 5-minute hold on a down dog is hard. It's a little bit of torture. Some of you will have done this with me before, and perhaps you're starting to feel a little bit more confident in it. Three minutes, guys. So if you want to come down at 3 minutes, go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to try and stay for 4. If you took a break, feel free to come back up. If your wrists aren't having it, don't worry. You can do some cat-cows. You can take a child's pose.
Really just trying to let gravity do the work. You're just trying to hang out. Let the bones, the architecture of the body take over. We are at 4 minutes, guys. If you have to come down, come down. Otherwise, can you stay for another 60 seconds? It's just 60 seconds. Keep pressing those fingers down. "20 seconds left." Count them in your head if you need to. Look forwards. Slowly start to drop those knees and sit back into a child's pose. Again, remember what I said, take it slow. I'm actually going to bring my hands underneath my head, creating a little pillow, giving my wrists a break, finding some breath. Nice. And then bring yourself up to seated pose. Okay, so coming into a twist here, I'm going to give you a couple of options. Right leg is going to stay down on the mat. You're going to take left leg, step it up and over. Now, for some of you, this is just going to be too wild, too intense. So if that's the case, okay, if you're like, this is just too uncomfortable in my hips, straighten your right leg. Okay, so right leg is either bent or straight, whatever works for you. You're going to take your left hand behind you. Right arm is going to lift. Two options. Just wrap the arm around the knee or hook that elbow. Inhale, find length. Press the elbow into the knee if it's hooked, or just hold on to that knee and start to twist to look over the left shoulder. Now, if you have both legs bent, as you twist, try to get your left butt cheek towards the mat. Don't worry if it's not touching. Some yoga teachers won't teach this if the butt cheek's not on the mat. But I think if it feels okay and it's a nice stretch, I don't really know why the butt cheek needs to be down. Obviously, we're trying to square the hips, but I think sometimes, if you don't have flexible hips, you're probably never going to get there, and that's okay. If you feel okay in a stretch, you can still do it. Nice. Come all the way back around. Just look over the right shoulder to counter the stretch. And we're going to go straight into a lazy Paschimotto, okay, which will feel nice. So this is, let me just check my notes. This is another 5-minute hold. So legs straight, couple of options here. You can either just fold and hang. If you have a block and the block rests quite nicely under the head, go for it. If you do have the pleasure of owning a bolster, okay, you can use that bolster and collapse over it. So maybe you're using a prop, maybe you're not. It doesn't matter. I almost want to say don't use a prop because gravity will grab you more. But, I mean, some of you are going to be up here. There's no, you'd need like 5 blocks to get it under your head. So just hang out. But, if you are more flexible and you do just want that little bit of support, then grab the prop. Good. So this is very different from a normal yoga class where I would be telling you to flex the feet, keep the spine straight, don't let the shoulders round, but we're really working into flexion here, okay? So you're letting everything go. We are still working the hamstrings. Why is this good for the back? Well, everything's connected, okay? So if you've got tight hamstrings, they're going to pull on the glutes. The glutes are then going to pull on the lower back. The lower back is then going to pull on the shoulders. And your whole posterior chain is going to be aching and a quaking. In this, we're stretching the entire posterior chain from the crown of the head to the back of the neck, from across the thoracic spine into the shoulders, into the lumbar spine, the sacral spine into the hips, all the way into the backs of the thighs, the knees. You might even feel this in the calves or the ankles. And this is the beauty. We're 2 minutes in, by the way. This is the beauty of gravity yoga, is that we are targeting what's called connective tissue. Okay, so in yoga, we're always targeting the connective tissue as well, but we're mostly really aiming at the muscles. Gravity yoga, we're targeting the more plasticky tissue, the tendons, the fascia. This stuff it's not very vasculated in terms of it doesn't have a large blood flow, so it doesn't adapt or change. Now, obviously, we don't want to make our joints really loosey-goosey. That's going to be counterintuitive, but we want to apply some stress to them, okay, this stretch, because it's going to make them stronger. I don't know if you know anyone with osteoporosis, anyone with really weak bones, but one of the ways to prevent and then treat is to kind of apply pressure to those bones, okay? Because it makes them stronger. We are at 3 minutes now. If we just lay on the couch all day, which is very tempting and very like pandemic, that's what everybody's doing and it's fine, okay? No judgment here whatsoever. I've been watching my fair share of reality TV. But if we did this all the time and then we go out in the snow and the ice and we slip, we have a far greater chance of really injuring ourselves than we would if we went for a run every day, than we would if we lifted weights, than we would have if we practiced vinyasa yoga. Because our bones, our joints, our muscles are used to that. If you never do that and then you stumble, okay, they're going to be like, ah, and break or pull or tear. 4 minute mark now. If you have a prop under your head, can you make that prop a little bit lower? Can you come a little bit lower? Maybe even one day resting the head in the knees or the thighs. Very slowly, turn the palms to face down and begin to bring the spine up. Let the head and the shoulders be the last thing to rise. And as you lift, draw the navel in towards the spine, okay? Draw the navel in, draw the navel in. And just walk the hands back so that they face the bum. Squeeze the shoulders together, lift the sternum, maybe lift the chin up to the sky. Whoo. Taking your spine into extension after that deep flexion. Good. Tuck the chin, bring yourself back up. We're going to bring left leg onto the mat, bending the knee. Right leg is going to come up and over. So that twist on the other side. Again, if this is too intense and you're like, I just can't do it, straighten your left leg. Okay, so left leg can be straight. Right hand comes behind you. Left arm lifts, either little hug or cross that elbow. Inhale, really think about that axial extension, lengthen the spine, then use the muscles in the waist to twist. Inhale, axial extension, exhale, twist. Okay, we don't want the vertebrae all crunching when we're spinning. So you want that height. If both legs are bent, try to get that right butt cheek towards the floor. Nice, spin back. Just look over left shoulder, counter rotation. Good, back to center. Okay, let me just stop my timer. So we are going to come into reclining hero. Some of us aren't going to recline. You've got props, okay? So you can use the props. Those who don't need props, reclining hero, I'm not going to demo it all the way. You're sitting between the heels, okay? So you're trying to get the bum cheeks down. You can see there's a little gap here. I'm not flexible enough in my ankles to get my bum down yet. Full reclined is all the way down, arms kind of behind you, Okay, if I go down, I'm not going to be able to get back up. Some of you will have done this before and you're like, yep, no problem, come on down. Some of you are going to need props. Okay, so prop number one is literally staying put, block under the bum and holding. Okay, you're working into the top of the thighs, into the knees, and into the tops of the ankles. This is totally fine if you're happy to stay here. If you want to come down into that reclined position, it does take a bit of setup. Okay, so you want to stack your props and then reverse your booty onto the floor and then maybe come down. Okay, now my ankles are just screaming at me. They're just not very good at coming into this position. So I'm going to stay up. Okay, we're a minute in. So if you're still settling your props, don't worry. It probably means that you might struggle to hold for the whole 5 minutes anyways. If you're on the floor living the dream, awesome. If this is really difficult, and please don't worry if it is, just hang out like me, sitting on the block. Okay, that's totally acceptable. Some of you might feel okay coming down onto the forearms. Okay, that might work for you. And then we just try to breathe. Notice where you're feeling this. Okay, I feel absolutely nothing in my knees, but my ankles are very, very, very intense right now. I blame it on years and years of kind of wearing really badly made high heels, and both of my parents just being very inflexible and blessing me with those genes. I want you to remember as well that one, we're at 2-minute mark, but also two, that you're working your body. Okay, doesn't matter what anyone else is doing, doesn't matter what I'm able to do or not able to do. It's your body here that you're finding space in. And remember, all of this is to benefit the back. All of this is to create less pain, to create more mobility, and to create strength. Find that breath. We're at the 3-minute mark now. Holding a down dog for 5 minutes to me is not challenging at all. However, staying in this pose for 5 minutes is complete and utter torture for me. And I'm just sitting on a block. Four-minute mark. If you're in pain, please don't stay. Okay, this is not, I'm not condoning that you're in pain in any kind of way. Less than a minute left. Keep breathing, you're almost there. If you're down on the back, come onto the forearms and very slowly start to push yourself up. If you're on a block, slowly start to bring yourself back into tabletop, Once you're in tabletop, you're going to tap the feet, okay? You're going to try to bring some life back into them. You may not even be in this position yet. You might be feeling like the Tin Man and barely able to move. Feel free to tuck the toes, extend the toes, tuck the toes. Good. Nice. Okay. From here, we're going to come onto our back. You need to have a block, okay? So if you don't have a block, few pillows, you just won't be able to come as high. So coming all the way down onto the back. Reset. Nice. So coming onto the back, we're going to find our supported bridge. So this will be a nice, more restorative position than the one we were just in. So you're going to press your feet down, lift. Now we're trying to get the block on its highest setting underneath sacral spine, okay? Now, if you can't get your hips this high, turn your block and take it onto the mid setting, okay? It just means that the front line of the body is a little bit tight. So once you find that position, getting yourself all set up, and I've got a really sort of squishy block here. So ideally you'd want something a bit harder that's not going to fold on you. Now from here, bring your arms over the head, lengthening out. Option 1, stay with the knees bent. Option 2, my block is totally bending on me. I'm actually going to get a different one. Option 2 is to start to straighten those legs. Okay. Now for some of you, this just isn't going to feel awesome in the hips or the torso or the lower back. So if that's the case, rebend the knees, maybe not all the way. Close the eyes. It should, the block that is, should feel quite comfortable. If it's uncomfortable, it might be because it's too high up on the lower back. You're kind of looking for this space that's just above where the line of your butt cheek starts. Okay, so it's nicely nestled in there. Now, all you're going to do for the next 2 minutes is imagine that those hips are melting away from each other. Okay, so they're slowly melting away, and the whole front line of the body is lengthening and softening. You're in a deep back bend right now. Some of you are going to love it. Some of you are going to hate it. Identify how you're feeling, and over the duration of the time, see if that changes. Breathe. You've got 1 minute left here. If the legs are still bent, see if you can creep them just a little bit further forwards. If it feels good, exhale out of the mouth. Walk the feet back in if you bent them, or if you straighten them, re-bend them. You're going to push into the heels, lift the bum, bring your pelvis back down, and then take the feet nice and wide, and you're just going to windshield wipe those knees from side to side. So just slowly starting to soften, starting to release into the hips. Good. And then take the hands onto the knees. Rock and roll yourself up and down. And then those who are not near a wall, I want you to bring your mat near a wall. So coming into, if you've done this before, you will know that it's a challenging pose. We're going to attempt to hold it for 3 minutes. It's called hangman. I'm going to demo it first. Then you're going to get yourself set up and then we'll come into it. This is one that you may not be able to hold for the whole time. So to come into this pose, you just want your head nice and close to the wall. Abby, if this doesn't feel good on the arm, don't do it, okay? Walk the hands up the wall, okay? Elbows straight, and then you just let yourself hang. Now, the wider the arm, the less intense. The straighter the arm up the wall, whoo, the more intense. That is sort of the pose. So get yourself set up, head nice and close to the wall, walk the arms up the wall. If the elbows are bending, guys, take them wider. I don't even care if they're barely off the mat. See how you get on. This is a very good stretch for the shoulders, but it can be very intense if you're tight. So you're 30 seconds in. Make sure you can breathe. Your head is not on the mat, so don't worry if your head's not touching the floor. You are literally hanging, okay? You're hanging from the wall, you're hanging from your arms. If you have a past shoulder injury, so I have injured my shoulder quite badly snowboarding. If you have a past shoulder injury and that is really flaring up, take the arms wider. Okay, injuries don't mean that we'll never be able to do something. It just sometimes means that we have to modify. So maybe you just do it with one arm, and then switch to the arm that's worse. Maybe hold for 10 seconds. Halfway there. Okay, that's the good news. You're halfway there. If you can stay with it, stay with it. If you can't, there is no shame. You have 30 seconds left. If you can, see if you can bring the arms a little closer, a little bit higher up the wall. That's just if you are feeling like you want a bit more. Take 2 more big breaths for me. Slowly walk the hands down. Just come to lay down. Bring the hands underneath the head. Bring either cheek onto the mat, elbows bent. And just take a moment to be really still. Good. When you feel ready, you're going to bring yourself up. There's no kind of graceful way to do this. The easiest way for me is to kind of get the side of my hip as close to the wall as I can. And then I just kind of lay on my back and then spin myself around until I can kind of get my booty as close to the wall as I can. Okay, so once you're in this position, we're going to come into a wall squat, okay? Squat, the deep, deep hip openers is really great for our back. So you're going to start to bend your knees and you want your toes kind of going out on an angle, okay? If you could see my toes and knees going the same direction. And then you just kind of go till you really feel it in your hips. Sorry, I'm just going to get rid of my crazy dog. Nope, he's leaving. It's fine. Nice. So notice the sensation that you're getting in your hips. Don't worry if your bum and your tailbone's lifting. If you want more, you may not. Let your elbows or your arms rest on the insides of your knees. And this is just going to gently tease and open up the knees. Breathing here. Maybe you can try to convince the feet to come down a little bit further. Out. Nice. You've got 60 seconds left here. Easiest thing to do if it's too intense, walk the feet up higher. If you want a little bit more, walk the feet down further. And then with your eyes closed, just start to bring your arms onto the mat, whatever way feels comfortable or really relaxed. And then just gently start to slide one leg and then the other up the wall. And just gently roll the femur bone, the leg bone in the hips, turning the toes from side to side, in and out. And then eventually just let the leg bones naturally come away from each other. So they naturally externally rotate. And this is going to be our Shavasana. So find a position. If you want to have the arms down by the sides of the body, feel free to let them drop there. If you'd rather them kind of out a little bit wider, then go for that. This is a really lovely release in the lower back. Really great way to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. So just close the eyes and let yourself drift away into your corpse pose. Gently begin deepening your breath. As you inhale, feel the belly and the chest rise. And as you exhale, just feel the spine really heavy, drifting into the mat. Inhale, feel the belly, the chest lift and rise. And as you exhale, feel the spine heavy. And then just start to wiggle through your fingers and your toes. You're going to start to bend your knees. And then you're just going to walk your feet down the wall. Keep the arms nice and wide. Open them wide if they're not. And just let your opposite ear fall to your shoulder, so away from your knees. Stretching here, supine twist. And then walk those feet back up the wall, and take the feet over to the other side. Let the opposite ear flop to the shoulder. And then walk those feet back up the wall. And whatever way works for you, and if you can keep your eyes closed, you're just going to push yourself up to seated. And then you're going to sit with your back against the wall. So you might need to take a couple shuffles. Try to get the back of the bum to connect to the wall. Slightly tuck the chin, and if you can, press the back of the head into the wall. Okay, so you're probably going to have a double chin. That's okay. And just take a couple of deep breaths here. And then just bring the hands to Anjali Mudra, to that heart center. And then what you're going to do is take the arms wide, okay? So into that cactus position, trying to get as much of the arm onto the mat as you can. And we're just going to inhale, slide the arms up the wall, and then exhale, slide them down, okay? For some of us, this is going to be really challenging to keep the whole arm on the wall. You can see my elbows trying to pull away, and that's because of tightness in my shoulders. So just coming down as far as you want, up as high as you can. Maybe the fingers touch, maybe they don't. Just do 2 more like this. Shoulders have so much to do with our backs. Good. And the next time that you lift up, you're going to let the arms come off the wall, hands come together above the head. Exhale, thumbs rest at the space between the brow for kindness in your thoughts, to the lips for kindness in your words, and then to your heart center for you all to carry kindness and compassion through the rest of your evening and the rest of your week ahead. Opening the eyes, bowing forwards. Namaste. Well done, team. So take your time kind of moving around. You should be quite sleepy and ready for bed.